What up, perps? Kid Copious, back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here? We're up in America, the center, common sense. I love you. Always remember that. At least somebody out in this world loves you. You know, we got a heck of a week. You know, a lot of stuff happening. It's kind of cool because, you know, we see a new future. I see a different landscape all of a sudden where, you know, the lefties aren't in control and we're not, the madness is starting to permeate into people's brains and they're starting to realize, man, this is fucking crazy what we've been doing. And hopefully, you know, we're going to change the things that need to be changed and we're going to leave alone the things that need to be alone. And, you know, hopefully we continue to progress as a people and as a country. If you're looking forward to 2025, this one's for you. Election, as everybody pretty much knows, you know, a lot of Republicans won. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency, they control the governors. You know, that's cool and everything. I think it was a reaction. I think it was not so much a red wave as a purple wave. I keep saying that. I think people wanted to pull back to the middle. You know, one of the reasons why the Democrats got shellacked, and there's differing reports, so, you know, if you want to put something in the comment about how they didn't get shellacked, go right ahead. I don't really care. It's because the Democrats have lost touch with America. And sure as shit, some of the Republicans fall into that same boat, too. You know, this ugly-ass woman, and I'm not talking about ugly as beautiful. I'm talking about ugly as ugly inside. Nancy Mace says Capitol restroom ban targeted at transgender member of Congress. There she is, McBride. Republican Representative Nancy Mace said Tuesday that a bill she introduced to ban transgender women from using women's restrooms at the U.S. Capitol was absolutely, quote her words, absolutely in response to Representative-elect Sarah McBride entering Congress. You know, in this country, I don't think we're ever going to go far right. We're never going to go as far to the right as we have been going to the left. And the reason is because the far right can be seen with the Nazis, the hardline Muslims, the ethnic cleansers, you know. But the far left is far more insidious. They remain in the shadows. They pounce from the darkness. We saw this. America saw this. And so people voted red. Our only defense against the far left is Republicans. So don't show your fucking ugly side, Nancy Mace. You have a private bathroom. There are single-use toilets in the Capitol. So start acting like fucking adults. Like, you know, Speaker Johnson, right? He was asked about whether Sarah McBride was a man or a woman, and he answered, men can't become women. Okay, that's not the nicest thing to say, but it's, you know, it's an opinion. Might even be factual. I don't know. Might be factual, but it doesn't necessarily need to be said. But it's not necessarily an attack on an individual. You know, McBride's election, during the cycle where Trump got elected, you know, first trans senator, first female chief of staff. You know, we were making some progress. We were making some progress under a red banner. You know, I'd rather it be under a purple banner, but I'll take my progress where I can get it. But this ugly ass fucking cow of a woman, you know, has to go out and attack the new senator. And for the record, the new senator is like, fine, I'll comply, because they have their own bathrooms. They have single-use bathrooms. It's not a fucking issue. And we need to understand that there is a big difference. You know, myself, right here, Kid Copious, right? Okay? I don't want to see trans females competing in women's sports. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think Tampon Tim had a good idea putting tampon machines in junior high boys' bathrooms. All right? I don't think Leah Thomas or Blair Fleming, or is it Blair Fleming? I don't even remember her name. The San Jose State volleyball player. I don't think that shit's fair. But those people as individuals, Leah Thomas and them, they're human beings who need to be treated with respect. Okay? There are issues with trans people in America that need to be sorted out. Granted, I fully believe that. Whether or not those issues can be settled has no bearing on how you treat the individuals. This woman won a seat as a senator, and immediately the Republicans have to show their ugly side. And that's the kind of shit that cost the Democrats the last election. by showing their true colors, by showing that they're going to put illegal immigration and green agendas above the needs of the American people. You know, Nancy Mace here, you know, she may score some points with her constituents, but you know what? I was a supporter of hers, but not anymore. I don't stand for this shit, man. I don't care how you feel. You don't have to like transgender people. You don't have to associate with transgender people, but you can't heap hate on them. You can't. Whether you believe it or not, whether you think they're right or wrong, whether you think they got something wrong in their head, that is not an excuse to throw hate on somebody. And that's all Mace did, was just heap hate on this person. And that ain't fucking cool, man. Speaking of stupid women shooting out their mouths. Joy Reid. I thought this was on Joy Reid. Why do I got Al Roker on my screen? Hey. She sends a Thanksgiving warning to Trump voters. MSNBC, by the way, just as a side note, MSNBC on the weekends sometimes doesn't even get 30,000 views for their shows. They are on the way out. MSNBC, CNN, they're done and dusted. But anyhow, I digress. Joy Reid told Republicans their liberal friends and families have a right to be scared in an end of times warning on TikTok today. She recently left X. You know, but she's not done explaining to GOP voters why she believes Democrats are rightfully scared for the future. Okay, rightfully scared for the future? That's your team. The last 4 years have been downright scary. She warned Trump voters that they should accept being excluded from family Thanksgiving plans and spoke of the likelihood of the country collapsing under the new government. We are already collapsing, okay? That just on the illegal immigration, Biden has done so much harm to this country. And no, it's not the individuals who came across. It's the amount of individuals who came across. It's the fact that they came across without any vetting. They came across without a plan. They dumped 2,000 refugees into a town of 10,000 and just told the town, hey, you deal with it. Well, how? If you got 10,000 people and all of a sudden they add in 20% of your population, how the heck are you supposed to deal with that? You don't have the resources. You don't have the tax base to do that. But, you know, she's telling people that Trump voters should accept being excluded because of fear. Well, was it any right when families scorned their gay children for fear of AIDS? No. It wasn't right then, and it's not right now. This is the kind of bigoted shit that comes out of their mouths right before they call Donald Trump and his supporters bigoted. She's the bigot, all right? There's all of this hoopla and all of this fear-mongering that they're doing is a bunch of bullshit because Trump was already in for 4 years. He didn't destroy the country now. He certainly doesn't seem to have plans to destroy the country now. He's going to absolutely demolish all of the dumbass policies. Like I said, one of my wishes for Donald Trump, remove the DEI requirements and get the high-speed internet into rural America. Okay? She went on to say, Republicans control everything. People are scared. I think questioning why people don't want to have dinner with you or don't want to be in a group chat anymore or don't want to be your friend or don't want to hang out with you after you voted to do this to them, potentially, I think you're missing the point. Really? Because I don't fucking see that. I don't see that at all. Yeah, you know what? I still see Harris wall signs up, and I do laugh at it. But I bear no ill will towards those people. My own family is very split on how they vote. My immediate family is split. Don't care. I don't care. Because, first of all, I'm not going to shun somebody when I don't even know what is actually going to happen. Okay? I didn't necessarily shun people who voted for Joe Biden. I was a little baffled. I was a little confused by that whole thing. I'm not going to get into it because that's how you get demonetized around this place. I guess you have to be monetized first. I'm not. So it'd be great if you like and subscribe because I need to get up over 1,000 to ever see a dime. I don't do this for the money, though. I do this because this shit really pisses me off. This fear-mongering, this obvious fear-mongering that goes on. It's just crap, man. It's just crap. When your eyes are open, it's hard to see, what everybody else is. When your eyes are open, it's easy to see what everybody else is missing. But if Al Roker wants to scream, Joy Reid wants to yell and scream at everybody, go for it. But cut the crap. I listened to a show, 790. It's on in the mornings, like 6 to 9, right? Armstrong and Getty. And one of them proposed a new thing called cut the crap. They talk about the fear that there's going to be mass deportations. Cut the crap. Obama deported 5 million. 5 milli. Okay? 5 milli. He deported them. We have too many people in this country that just fucking showed up in the last 4 years. It needs to be sorted out, and some of them do need to go. We have at least, by their own numbers, by Democrats' own numbers, we have at least 800,000 serious criminals in this country that have come over in the last 4 years. We don't need that shit. We don't need our towns being overrun. We don't need our cities being overrun. When you talk about a city of 10,000 being overrun, keep in mind, Chicago, New York, overrun. Overrun. Denver, overrun. There was no plan. So in reality, I don't really see how Trump can make it worse. I see ways that he can make it better. I don't really see how he makes it worse. But then you flash back to somebody like, bitch-face McGee, Nancy Mace, and you could see why people might be a little bit afraid. I can see that. Hey, if you're talking about that one instance and you not wanting to have Thanksgiving dinner with Nancy Mace, well, that makes perfect sense. And on the flip side of the coin, a trans woman asked followers to assassinate J.K. Rowling and Nancy Mace. It's crazy on both sides, folks. The nice thing about Purple is we try not to embrace crazy stuff, out there extreme stuff. We look at an issue and we try to figure out where the common sense issue is. A common sense issue. Biological boys should not be on women's teams, especially when they really haven't undergone any sort of transition. But at the same time, okay, we need to accept these people as people. A lot of people out there might think that trans women, for example, just want attention. They're just doing this because they want to, because the media has convinced them to. And while that might be true in some cases, a lot of these people have spent years, if not decades, struggling with their identity. All right? And if they're comfortable in their new skin, let's just let them be comfortable in their own skin. Yeah, there's guidelines out there, but there's guidelines for everything. All right? I smoke weed. All right? Weed is legal in California, but I'm not going to go into a movie theater and spark up a joint. Right? See, that's the common sense that we need to look for in Purple. Weed should be legal, but there should be boundaries. Everything needs boundaries. Without boundaries, you got chaos. Speaking of chaos, court overturns Jussie Smollett hoax conviction due to evidence that America actually is MAGA country. Yeah. There's a special place in hell for this fucker. I don't mix my words about this. Racial hatred, racial violence is some of the grossest stuff that we exhibit here in this country. Not just in this country, as humans. But even more gross is faking it. Faking it for credibility, faking it for publicity, faking it to get a higher, to get higher pay at your job because you're a victim. One of the grossest things that's happened here in America, and possibly around the world, but I see it here in America, is this whole idea of victimhood being the badge of honor. All right? Not that I don't have sympathy for victims. That's not what it's about. But that does not need to be your identity. All right? You got to shrug it off. You got to move on. You're an American. Hate that fucking guy. Musk fans beg him to fire Nancy Pelosi's niece from cushy climate role. Yeah, this is one of those, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Nancy Pelosi's niece makes $181,000 a year. Almost $200,000 a year. She's a lawyer and a climate advisor. What kind of bullshit? I mean, come on. She's going to advise on the climate and she gets paid $200,000? I mean, I get it. You know, a lot of salaries are out of control. A lot of people get paid more than her. But this is the kind of shit that hopefully Musk and Vivek can, you know, start to catalog and erase off the books. Because I don't like the fact that a lot of struggling Americans are paying their taxes, and then we're going to turn over $200,000 to a made-up position that has absolutely no basis in reality. It has no function. It has no benefit. Okay? We'll get a little more into that in a bit here. MSNBC blasted for sympathizing with Lakeland Riley's migrant killer. And, you know, this is the problem that comes out of the left. This is what cost them the election. They've lost the election, and they're going to continue. There's the headline down at the bottom. Lakeland Riley's killer never stood a chance. Yeah, because he was fucking guilty. He was a member of TDA. Boom. This legal analyst, Danny Savalas, put the headline, never stood a chance. Right. You know, they had volumes of damning evidence, including his DNA found under her fingernails. All right? This guy who should never have been in the country, brutally beat and strangled to death. From all accounts, a wonderful, wonderful person who had a bright future ahead of her. And it was snuffed out. It was snuffed out. Fuck defending this guy, okay? We should be standing in line to be the ones who throw the switch on him. But of course, they didn't file that. He's going to spend his life in prison. Well, that's perfect. He comes from a prison gang, so he's right back home again. You know, Savalas argued, for all the political controversy, the outcome of this trial was never in doubt. No, his skin under her fingernails this trial was never in doubt. You know, I'm not gonna read what everybody said here, you know. But he summed it up by saying, for the defense, this was a hopeless case. The defense did its best it could with bad facts. Really? There was clear evidence against him. And you're going to defend him because you need to virtual signal to all your little lefty cronies? It's no wonder MSNBC, CNN, they're sinking. They're sinking fast. You want to know not a frightening statistic, but an eye-opening statistic. The Hallmark Channel is now beating CNN and MSNBC. Okay? All right, Hallmark Mysteries. I like the channel. The mysteries aren't all that great, but it's a fun watch, man. But I don't watch fucking MSNBC and CNN. You know, and they say that nowadays young people get their news from social media. Well, where does social media get its news? MSNBC and CNN. Part of the problem I see, even with CNN failing, is we need access to journalists again. Somehow, some way. Maybe we'll get back to that. I don't know. We'll see. You know, for people who remember, Daniel Penny, he put this crazy Jordan Neely into a chokehold. Emphasis on hold, because he was acting crazy on a subway. He was threatening people. He was making vague ramblings about possibly hurting people. Experts say there is no way Jordan Neely died from a subway chokehold. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with all the graphics, but basically what they said was generally when somebody dies from a chokehold like that, they first go unconscious, then they die. He never really went unconscious. He was holding him. This kid, Jordan Neely, unfortunately had a medical condition. He was also high on K9, spice, fake weed, in other words. Fake weed, dude. You know, one of my heroes, Dr. Drew, talked once about fake weed and how dangerous it really was. Very dangerous. Very, very bigly dangerous. This Marine was trying to protect lives. And New York, was sending a clear message that they would not tolerate guardians out on the streets. They want people to die. Police will investigate the death. People will be arrested. It's the way they would like it. But Penny is an American Marine. He's an American. Americans don't back down from a fight. I feel bad for Jordan Neely. I feel bad for his life. I feel bad for anybody whose life is upended by mental illness and drugs. Why? Because I was there. I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm one of the strong ones. I managed to get out. I had a lot of problems. I managed to survive them all. I've got that fight for survival down, to paraphrase Tyler Joseph, 21 Pilots. Unfortunately, Jordan Neely did not. He did not win against his demons. It's a very unfortunate situation, and it reminds me a lot of George Floyd. People who don't deal with their issues and then end up dead, and the media wants to spin it. They want to spin it for their story. Anyhow, enough of that. Great. Here we're back to this. Speaking of George Floyd, the cop who killed Ashley Babbitt, she was the woman who was shot by police during the January 6th riot at the Capitol. I call it a riot. It was not an insurrection, okay? It was a protest that got out of hand. When a protest gets out of hand, it's called a riot, not an insurrection. But this cop had a really significant discipline history, including gun instances. He once fired his service weapon at fleeing vehicles near his home while his neighbor was in the line of fire. He was promoted to captain in 2023 despite a significant history of referrals to the Capitol Police Office of Professional Responsibility. I don't want you to cover up cops like Derek Chauvin, okay? I don't want you to cover that up, but I don't want you to cover up Byrd here either. Tell us the truth about these bad police officers, no matter which side wants to spin it. The truth should just be out there. It was not an insurrection. It was a protest that got out of hand, a.k.a. a riot. And this officer just fired and killed a woman who was a service member, if I remember correctly. I believe she served in the Air Force. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did. Hopefully something happens here. Because this one-sided bullshit that's going on where cops are just vilified when a criminal dies, but then if it's something like this, it's swept under the rug. They keep calling it an insurrection, but, the real loss of life that day was a police officer shooting an unarmed woman. All right. Just a few election memes, some leftovers, We're heading into Thanksgiving. Get ready for leftovers. I'm not a big leftover fan, but I like these. The donkey here saying, how'd you get so many ordinary Americans to change parties and vote for you? And Trump responds, by not thinking of them as ordinary. That really says a lot. That really says a lot. I use the term average American. I think it's better than ordinary. Ordinary has some negative connotations. But more to the point, Trump and a lot of the Republicans looked around and saw what the real problems in this country were. And I think a lot of Democrats looked around and saw what the problem was. And it was his far left ideology. That's why people either stayed home or switched parties. That's why people who probably didn't want Trump in office knew between the two choices, there is absolutely no decision to be made. Trump must go in. We cannot have Kamala and Tim Walz. Harris Walz was the most left-wing and worse than left-wing. Lazy, do nothing, full of bad ideas, full of agendas, but no solutions. Tyson hugging Kamala Harris here. Kamala says, we both lost. Tyson says, yeah, but I banked $20 million. You owe $20 million. To pay back $20 million campaign debt, Kamala Harris agrees to fight Jake Paul. Oh, I love good satire, man. Newly unearthed video shows Hitler did the Trump dance. The Trump dance is blowing up all over the place. You know, there's some really good meme videos out there. Trump singing the Harry Styles song. And then one that just has they list it as like Trump unhinged, but it's Trump dancing. It's Trump, well, making love to an American flag. Trump is like the guy who just tries to elevate the party. Not the political party, the whoop, 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 whoop. He's like a good DJ. He knows how to work a crowd. And I honestly believe that Trump loves America. And really, that's what we need in office right now. We don't need somebody who thinks America is a bad idea, that the American flag is triggering or a symbol of oppression or whatever bullshit the left wants to bring out. You know? Oh, God. Speaking of just bullshit, Ellen DeGeneres, that toxic bitch, has announced that she's leaving the United States. She's going to go live in the Cotswolds in England. Very nice area. The Cotswolds, you know. I watch a lot of British television. I know the Cotswolds. That's beautiful. It's rural, but it's very wealthy. But, you know, of course she's leaving because Trump won. And she bought the house in 2019. All right. So I'm not exactly sure she's really leaving for the reason she states. She's leaving because her career in America, her career period is over. Because she was an evil succubus. And countless people came out. It's like Bill Cosby. When there's that much smoke, there's got to be fire. Right? But that's who these people are. You know, Nancy Mace is a great example of a nasty Republican. But if you think about how many other nasty celebrities and nasty politicians came from the left in recent years, wow. Nasty. You know, and not even just nasty, but untrustworthy. Eva Longoria said she's leaving, even though she's already been living in Spain and Mexico. And in other ridiculous news, the International Criminal Court has issued a bench warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, for war crimes in Gaza. You don't make this shit up, okay? The war criminals are the Taliban, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, maybe Putin, maybe what's his name in North Korea, or Winnie the Pooh in China. But Netanyahu, wow. One thing about purple is I don't want anybody who virtual signals on my team. Okay? You prove yourself. Like, there was an old movie, Megaforce, I think it was called. Deeds, not words. Yeah, whatever. All right. So in a last-ditch attempt to prevent Trump from taking office, Democrats start World War III. This is an old one from Bronca. Hello, room service? Biden's pushing the button on the nuke. Yeah, it's pretty close to that. Russia warns a world war after Biden's decision on missiles for Ukraine. Russia launches first ICBM in combat history at Ukraine. The first time. Why? Because Biden has said, you can go ahead and shoot our missiles into Russia. Why? Why? Why, as it says, a major policy shift announced over the weekend after months of intense lobbying by Kiev has drawn a furious response from Moscow. Why? Why, Joe? Why? Why, Brandon? Is it because you really want to set the path on to World War III before Trump gets in and undoes it? Because the truth of the matter is, and you can fact check me on this, and if I'm wrong, please let me know. But both Putin and Zelensky know that when Trump gets into office, he is going to force them to wind this down. They've accepted it. The Ukrainian people are willing to give up land to just end this war. So it's over. But now, if you start launching NATO missiles into Russia, Russia now has the right to say, fine, you want to fire British rockets into Russia? You want to fire German rockets, American rockets? Well, then I'm going to start firing rockets into Poland, or maybe I'll just launch a few onto Belgium. What the hell? Biden is trying to make this a never-ending war before Trump comes in and undoes it. And that's really, I mean, to me, that is really kind of gross. Really, it is very, very gross. 2 months away from handing over the White House keys to President-elect Trump, who is seen as far less supportive of Ukraine's ambitions of hanging on to all of its Russian-occupied territory. See, that's not the point at this point. Holding on to little land, keeping this, keeping that. The truth of the matter is when Russia went into the Crimea and Obama did nothing, they knew what they had. Russia knew what they had. They had a weak leader who wasn't going to stop them. Biden takes office, they go back into the Ukraine. And Joe is really doing what he can to keep this war going. And that's just gross. Another one of his gross policies, like we were talking about at the beginning here, illegal immigration without a plan. Philly schools so overcrowded by immigrants, students eat lunch at 9 a.m. Isn't that wonderful? Youngsters at Lincoln High School also lug their backpacks around all day because there's not enough lockers. They're now 1,000 kids over capacity, which is a really big number when you're looking at schools. 1,000 kids over capacity. They've added makeshift divisions to increase the number of available classrooms, but teachers say the new walls are too thin to stop noise and have actually fallen down during lessons. This is the latest example of how America's public services are struggling to cope with the influx of immigrants since Biden became president in January 2021. Those are pure, simple facts. He just let them come in with no plan. Just flew them around, dropped them off in the middle of the night and said, you deal with them. That's fucking believable, man. It reminds me of the kid who collects all the stray cats in the neighborhood, but then never changes the litter box. One teacher in Philadelphia told the Philadelphia Inquirer, the crowding is insane. And of course, they held their names back for fear of reprisals. Trump's Hitler. It's kind of funny because the liberals seem to be the Hitlers. I do not know how this situation is allowed to continue. Other staffers at Lincoln, a public school in northeast Philadelphia, detailed alarming conditions of the swelling population, but were likewise unwilling to provide their names in case they faced consequences for speaking out. Your government does not have to be the communist dictators with the secret police. It could be your school district. This far left way of thinking that your ideas are so good that anybody opposes them needs to be destroyed. That's how they're operating. That's what we see. That's the evidence. Classes routinely start late now because students cannot get to their desks in time. As the problem got worse last year, the school board spent $400,000 carving up the library into makeshift classrooms. So because of Joe Biden's open border, this school district had to destroy a library to turn it into classrooms. Students arrive late, check in, but then leave again. Some smoke weed at the entrance without any consequences. One brave person, Coswell here, said, these kids are not getting what they deserve. It's untenable. There's too many kids and no rules. They get detention, they don't go, and nothing happens. It's mayhem. It's not okay. And that's the problem that Biden has created and left. A lot of things in politics we can argue. Did Trump, in his first term, inherit a good economy from Obama? We can argue that, right? We can't argue whose fault it is for this immigration mess. Same thing with this next story. USC estimates California fuel could rise by up to 90 cents per gallon next year. And that's all because of Gavin Newsome. He will say it's the California Air Resource Board. He nominated all of them. We don't have any say in the California Air Resource Board. These are rich fat cats collecting rich fat cat salaries who don't give a shit how much it costs because they already have solar panels at their house, a Tesla wall battery, and they're driving a Tesla. So they don't give a shit about gas prices. They want to, as part of their agenda, end the use of fossil fuels in California. Well, guess what? They're going to start at the bottom. The poorest of the poor will be unable to afford gas. There are some estimates that next year you will need to earn between $600 and $1,000 more just to offset the rise in gas prices. And it's all Gavin. It's all the Democrats. So if Trump is Hitler, then Newsom is the Ayatollah. He mandates his agenda. What he believes is what we do. Doesn't matter what we vote on. If we're going to vote on something, he will trick us. He will force us into it. And if he doesn't like the results, he'll just do what he's going to do. He literally has forced his agenda on California. Twice, California voted to keep the death penalty. As soon as he got into office, moratorium. He's driving the good jobs out of California, unless they're tech. If they're tech jobs, they're staying here. He's driving up gas prices to drive us out. Because again, they want it for the rich elite and the people who clean their toilets. And then he goes on to gaslight us about gas prices. Hey, are the oil companies greedy? Sure. But you're giving them the excuse. You're giving them the pathway. You're causing an issue. Even if the oil companies like Exxon, Shell, Mobil, Chevron, all of them, even if they gave us a fair price, your shit is still making it expensive. Right? This dude has provided sanctuary for illegal criminals. And the whole time he's dining at the French Laundry and living in a $9 million mansion. He is the Ayatollah. He is the Hitler. He is the ruling king who doesn't give a shit about the serfs or the peasants. And the bottom line on gas, I'll break this down for you. Why, as an American, this pisses me off. Growing up, and you might have heard this story before, growing up, there were days where we would miss school because of smog days. Literally, the skies were just black, and you would choke on the air. All right, so then they said we're going to start using a different kind of gas. We're going to have smog checks. We're going to have catalytic converters, all that, right? And then, so whatever. Let's just say we had to pay $2 a gallon more. A lot of us just looked around and said, okay, I'll pay $2 more a gallon because you're going to remove the smog from the air. Now they're like, now you're going to pay $2 more a gallon for climate change, carbon credits, the electrification of California. No, that's not a good deal. It's not a good deal. We have cleaned up California, the air, so much. You're gaslighting the young people into believing that it's this crisis that we have right now. I've been there. I lived through it. I breathed that fucking air, man. It was worth it back then. But now it's not. And their argument is always the same. Oh, you're denying climate change. No, I'm denying the cause. Okay? Right now, true story, the magnetic north has shifted from above Canada to above Siberia, way over there. Because the Earth's core is liquid iron, basically. Melted metal. And as it sloshes around and the rotations and the wobbles and all that shit cause that iron to move, it moves magnetic north. Okay? Our planet can move magnetic north. Do you really think what we're doing is having this catastrophic effect? Can we lower it? Sure. Let's get rid of the smog. Smog's pretty much gone right now. We don't have to bankrupt ourselves. We need the entire planet to clean up its act before the entire planet will get even this much clean. They're not doing it right now. So let's do our part. Let's keep moving forward, but let's not bankrupt everybody. Let's put it to a vote and see if this is what people want. But instead, Gavin Newsom takes the California Air Resource Board, packs it with his people, and then uses them to do his dirty work. Because he's a coward. I want to fight him so bad. You know that Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight? I want it to be Copious versus Gavin Newsome. I don't give a fuck if he wins. When I really despise somebody like Nancy Mace or Gavin Newsome, I just want to fight him. I don't care if I lose. I just want to fight him. I just want to punch him in the face. Because he's a dictator. Gavin Newsome is a straight up dictator. He does not give a shit about any of us. He cares about his little inner circle and the circle of people who keep him in power, and that is it. And then they have the nerve to try to say that Trump is Hitler when a guy like Gavin Newsome is just doing whatever the fuck he wants. Oh, you can't leave your house, but I'm going to the French Laundry. Oh, fuck this guy. I'm just clicking through all these articles because, quite frankly, I'm not going to bore you with it all. But you know, when we were talking about electrification, here's electrification in action for you. Liberal Texas City, Austin, parks its 46 new e-buses due to inadequate charging infrastructure. Each bus costs almost $1 million, and they will be in storage for at least a year due to a lack of charging infrastructure. The buses were, of course, manufactured by the now bankrupt Proterra, which left city transit districts across the country with fleets of inoperable buses. Proterra, as promoted by Joe Biden. While diesel buses can run for nearly 24 hours without refueling, an electric bus needs to recharge every 8 to 10 hours, which was creating logistical issues. Drivers doing long routes often had to stop in the middle of the route to go charge. And the city's hot climates and hills were making it worse. It's not common sense. The bus also experienced breakdown rates at more than twice the rate. In 2022, half the buses were broken down on average, and the figure improved only slightly last year. Half the buses that were out there broke down? All right, so I started off this show today chastising Nancy Mace for her obviously rude and ugly statements to Ms. McBride, a transgender senator. I support those people. I know people in my own life. Okay? Whatever. If that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy, man. I mean, you might not agree with what makes me happy. I don't know. Okay? I know the risk of my lifestyle. Okay? But the media, the left-wing media in particular, has been gaslighting people into believing that hormone therapies and puberty blockers are reversible. The truth of the matter is, hormone therapy reshapes the skeleton in transgender individuals who previously blocked puberty. So puberty blockers with hormone therapy changes their bone structure. Their shoulders get narrower. Their pelvises either widen or shrink. And that's some scary shit, man. That is some really scary shit. If you're going to take a treatment that can change your bones. That is really, really scary. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying go in with your eyes wide open. Realize that you are potentially making yourself a patient for the rest of your life. Maybe just dress that way. Maybe a few surgeries here or there. But I'll tell you right now, man, as somebody who grew up on Ritalin, medicine, pills that you pop in your mouth, man, they have long-reaching effects. And people should know that in advance. I thought maybe I'd save the stupidest story for last. They recently, within the last month, had a conference, one of these green energy, save the world, climate change conferences. And somebody showed up saying, oh, this is the greatest threat to humanity, and, we need to do something about it. Can we have some money to fight climate change in Afghanistan? This is the fucking Taliban. A couple months ago, maybe a month ago, I covered a story about how much green money has just vanished. Yeah, something tells me the Taliban is not going to use it to buy catalytic converters for their cars. I almost said something there that would have been very inappropriate. As much as I hate the Taliban, I don't want to say anything that's like racially insensitive. But man, if I was gonna use a slur against somebody, it would be the Taliban. Remember, These are the people who do not allow a woman to hear another woman speak. Truth. That's what they do over there. Do you really think they're going to take this climate change cash and do something good with it? I doubt it. So as we start to transition out of the election into the holidays, into the new presidency, we just take one last look at a really good Bronco here. So, Doc, am I cured? Looking at a map that's practically all red. No, you're in remission. This is a call to the people that might be turning purple, but you're more on the red side. Don't be like Nancy Mace and show your ugly side. Allow a little purple into your heart. Realize that these are people. There are situations that need to be dealt with, but people just need to be loved. You have to be supportive of them. Now, if they eventually do something that you can't support, cool. I'm not saying that we have to have our blinders on and just this blind love for people. I'm not saying that at all. But what Nancy Mace did was ugly. And I just hope that nobody who ever watches this show ever does anything that ugly. To purposely go after an individual. To target an individual. That's just bullshit. You know, I grew up in an all-white town, but I kind of looked a little bit different. So I was the person the police messed with. I've been smoking weed most of my life. I'm the person who was denied jobs. I'm the person who lost jobs because of drug testing. I know what that feels like. And if you think about it, so do you. You know what it feels like to be shunned for something that's just who you are. I want to see the people who voted red this year act like real Americans and accept people. Don't be silent. Speak up when need be. Because bullshit is bullshit and it needs to be called out. That's what I try to do here. I'm just trying to call out the bullshit. And I really hope that today's episode really shows you that I'm trying to walk right down the middle, man. I don't like Reid. I don't like Nancy Mace. They're on separate sides. I ain't playing favorites here. I don't care if that's my detriment. I don't care if me speaking about purple is what costs me the fact that I'm not making any money doing this. I don't care about that. These are my principles. Purple principles. I hope that people can watch this and start to realize that we need to put away our ugly side. And as people who voted for Trump, myself included, we need to show the world that the lefty media is absolutely fucking wrong about us. You don't know us, all right? So shut your trap and cut the crap. I'm King Copious. I'm Purple State Party. Love one another. Try to do something good for somebody. We got the holidays coming up. Try to make somebody's year right at the end here, man. 2025, I don't know. We got a lot of hope. Either way, though, let's come together and dance it out. Yeah.